Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I decided to make another video as soon as I could while I'm still on a roll, so here it is. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you through the process of this little drawing I did for a giveaway a couple of months ago. So at some point I want to talk about Grimoire Noir specifically, but in this video I'll just focus on the drawing itself, which features one of the main characters from it called Chamomile, and she's one of my favorite characters to draw. This sketch for this drawing was done in Photoshop, and unfortunately I do not have a recording of that, so I'm sorry about that, but hopefully next time I will not forget to record it. Since this drawing is a few months old, I was using a little bit of a different process at that time. For some reason, I was pretty much stuck on specifically starting the sketch on Photoshop and printing it out and using a light box for the rest of the steps. It's a pretty great process that allows for maximum outcome control, which is something I really care about, but it is also a lot more time consuming. So for my Inktober pieces, I actually started just sketching right onto the paper, and I realized that it doesn't even make that much of a difference. Maybe it's because of all the practice that I've had over the years, but who knows. Anyway, I used to go straight into the inking when using the light box, but I noticed that it was really brutal on my eyes, so I like to use a Colorase, I don't know how to pronounce it, Prismacolor pencil to just transfer a very clean version of the sketch onto the paper first. I don't know why I used to ink right onto the page with the light box in the past. It was pretty horrible, like it just burned my eyes right out. Not literally, but I digress. Colorase pencils are probably one of my favorite tools. The fact that they're erasable obviously helps, but it's not the best feature to me anyways. I really like how they're a little bit on the harder side, so it's very easy to get smooth gradients with them, unlike some other oil-based pencils where they're just too buttery and smooth, where they pick up too much of the paper's texture, so I like to use harder pencils. It's a little bit of a bummer that the color selection is actually not very big for these types of pencils. And unfortunately, I noticed that some of them actually have these tiny little grains or something in the lead, which is super annoying because they totally start to scratch the paper and it completely makes them useless because the gradients turn out really shitty because of that. Moving on though, I apologize about this terrible habit that I have of constantly rotating the paper. I'm sure it's a little bit hard to look at, and I'll try to do it less in the future, but here we are. So around this time, I was really obsessed with a few purple tools in combination, mainly this one purple Staedtler ballpoint pen. I mostly made less committed doodles in my sketchbook, but for this drawing I thought it would be fun to use a similar process, but for a more polished type of look. I also decided not to ink the entire thing and see what happens. Unless I'm working on the clock, like on commissions or something like that, I often make random choices and just roll with them. It definitely makes the process a little bit more fun and unpredictable, which is nice. Somebody mentioned in my previous video that another YouTuber drawing with waffles mentioned me in one of her videos a couple of months ago. I had no idea about this. It's really cool. Super nice of her to give me a shout out to such a gigantic audience of hers. And she has a pretty awesome channel, so if you guys don't know about her, you should check her out. She said that she was inspired by these doodles that I've been posting around that time, and she used the same tools, and it was really awesome to see somebody else's results. Anyway, as you can see, the ballpoint pen bleeds upon contact with the Prismacolor marker, which creates a really interesting effect, and that's one of my favorite things about this process, which is why I kept just doing it over and over again. It can be a little bit annoying if it's unplanned. Like, I've definitely heard artists complain about how there's bleeding and stuff, and like ballpoint pens can be annoying if mixed with other things, but I think being aware of this happening right off the bat can really create some interesting opportunities to play around with. Here, I decided to add some depth to the skin using the lavender color erase pencil again. It was kind of a spontaneous decision, and I'm going to be mentioning this a lot because this specific drawing was very experimental for me, and I did make a lot of decisions that I don't usually make. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about them. For the hair and the darker parts of the drawing, I used a mix of black and purple ink. I don't often do hair like this because it's very tedious. It's kind of like I draw it one strand at a time, and it definitely involves a lot more decision making than usual, but it does give very nice and interesting results, and I like it a lot. As you all know, I'm really new to video editing, and at this point in the video I decided to just go with real-time chunks without speeding up the footage. I think it is kind of annoying to look at me constantly rotating the paper, and I think it might also be interesting for you guys to watch me make some of these strokes in real time. So I'm gonna go back to talking a little bit about planning versus just winging it. I do this all the time. I think it's kind of a habit that I retained from back when I was much younger. It was always really fun to me to experiment with new things, and I actually enjoy making mistakes for this reason. The only place I don't like making mistakes is the face, because then you kind of have to just start over again, which is actually why I always start every drawing with the face, so that just in case I screw it up, which does happen once in a blue moon at this point, but used to happen all the time, it's a no-go, because it's very difficult to fix. But making mistakes in other parts of the drawing is really healthy, I think. It makes you kind of reevaluate your decision making, and it forces you to figure out how to fix things without having the option of just repainting them in Photoshop. I know that a lot of people talk about happy accidents when it comes to traditional mediums. I personally don't often stumble on that. In fact, I only really ever have sad accidents when it comes to these traditional drawings. I drop the brush like every other drawing, no joke, just without fail. Yep. I suspect that one of the reasons why I don't tend to stumble on happy accidents is because my process is very tight in most of my art, actually, and this is something that I'd like to change, hopefully in the future. I think it's some sort of manifestation of my personality, to be honest. I really like organizing things, and I'm one of those people that will always rearrange objects in front of me mindlessly, especially when I'm idle. I don't know why I do this exactly, but maybe it has something to do with control, or maybe I'm trying to compensate for my disorganized thinking habit. I don't know. A huge part of the color combo which I was talking about that I was into at the time was pink highlighter. I've always liked very simple color schemes, and you can pretty much go, do no wrong with analogous colors. In case somebody doesn't know what that means, an analogous color scheme is comprised of colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. It's the easiest way to guarantee that your art will be easy on the eyes. So I tend to gravitate to that type of thing a lot. I don't really know a lot about color theory, so I like the easy color schemes. Anyway, so the sadness about these drawings is that the highlighter can't really be reproduced in print, as far as I know. I'm sure it can be done, but it probably requires some sort of special ink that I don't have access to when it comes to printing. Aside from the pink highlighter, purple in itself is also very difficult to reproduce. It looks pretty good on paper, very vibrant, just like the inks, and it doesn't look too bad when scanned in and edited in RGB format, but when you print, as some of you guys may or may not know, when you prepare files to be printed, they need to be in the CMYK printing mode, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and something K. I don't know. I don't remember what it stands for, but anyways, the colors look much duller, and this really affects the really vibrant hues like purple, and I think teal, or an ocean blue also is really difficult to get, especially when they're lighter and more vibrant. So unfortunately, because of that, I had trouble with all of these drawings when I was scanning them in, and they look much better in person. I made another spontaneous decision to just use pencil to shade the shirt. I almost never do this, but I really like the result, and maybe it's something I should try more often in the future as well. It is tedious as hell though. I think it took me forever, and you'd think that I have infinite patience, but I don't know. I don't really remember. I think at the time it was okay, but honestly, looking at this footage makes me just feel the fatigue all over again. So unfortunately, I seem to have lost the last chunk of this drawing. I'm not sure what happened. I tried to find it everywhere, but it appears nowhere to be found, and I guess I'll just have to tell you guys verbally how I finished it. After I was finished shading the shirt, I basically just used a darker Prismacolor marker to draw in the plaid pattern, and then used some Winsor and Newton silver ink to sprinkle in some sparkles into the hair, which I like to do a lot. And I think I used a pink Staedtler pen for the thinner parts of the plaid pattern, and it was finished. So when I was making a print of this, I decided to do a crazy thing and leave out the pink when I was cleaning up the scan, and I decided to just fill in the pink moon behind her manually in every single print, which is the little video chunk at the end. To be honest, I have no idea how to time my voiceovers correctly with the video. Maybe I'll figure it out after I actually edit this in, but so far I have no idea at which time point in the video this particular audio clip will appear. So hopefully it lines up, but it probably won't. But anyways, there's a clip at the end, near the end of the video, where I show you guys how I manually color in the print, and as you can see, it turned out pretty good overall, and I'm pretty happy with it, although I did lose some depth of the colors, but overall it was alright. I actually still have a few of these left, so I am going to put them up on my store just in case anybody was interested. I will have a link in the description for that. So on that note, I'll start wrapping this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching it, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate that you guys took the time to look at my videos, and I really hope that I won't disappoint with videos going forward. I'm still learning how to edit, and I would love to hear any of your suggestions or anything like future topic suggestions, art-related things that you guys want me to just talk about, like my experiences, anything like that. It's really difficult for me to come up with something off the top of my head, so I would love to hear your suggestions and any questions you might have that I will definitely answer either in the comments or in my next video. I'm still trying to figure out the scheduling part of things, but I am planning to upload at least once a week. And there's a lot of footage I have from this year's Inktober that I would love to make into videos. Here we are, and I definitely don't want to let all that footage go to waste, so I will use it. So yeah, thanks again for sitting through this, and I hope you found it useful, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!